If you had to single out like an influence over me, I mean, I was hitched up underneath my grandfather 24/7. And he would say things like, you don't need to go to school, just stay with me and I'll teach you everything you need to know. And I was like, yes! And my parents were like, no. We formed different. And the idea was to bring real estate to the markets in a way that the markets currently don't get to experience.
What is on your mind? Make we have a time. Hey,
If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please remember to leave a rating and review. And if you're listening or watching on YouTube, remember to like, comment, and share this episode. Now grab your tea, coffee, or a glass of wine, and let's talk the things. Welcome back to your favorite self-improvement podcast, Let's Talk the Things, where we discuss personal growth, music, travel, business, and film, while encouraging you to live fearlessly and fabulously. This week, we are talking to things with entrepreneur and deputy CEO of Different Capital, Gary Matalon. Hi, Gary. How are you?
Hi, Ash. I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, good. It's so lovely to have you. I'm really excited to talk to you today.
Very excited. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, of course. For the first part of our show, we like to do a little icebreaker. So we begin each episode with our favorite segment, and it's called Dat Na Sound Safe. Now, it
That
sounds
doesn't
crazy,
sound safe at
right?
all.
It sounds crazy. And everyone's always like, Ash, what is going on? But if you know me, you know it's just good fun, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read messages or social media posts that listeners sent in. And if you think it sounds crazy or a little concerning, you just don't agree, you just say that no sound safe and explain why. And if you do agree, you just say you agree and explain why. All right? All right. Yes. All right. So the first person said, the hands that clap for you today may be the hands that boo you tomorrow. Some of the people you've helped, inspired, and aided along their journey will be amongst the first to forget all of the seeds you've planted. One minute they love and adore you, next minute they shift and hearts turn cold towards you. However, even the ones who tricked, disregarded, and betrayed you are all part of the plan.
That's pretty accurate. I would say that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I think the betrayal is not safe, but the way this person's thought process is, I think is safe. In the moment when something like that happens, any type of like betrayal or anything like that, you might think like, why is this happening to me, right? But later down the line, you realize, wait a minute, like that had to happen for me to get to where I needed to go.
100%. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. No doubt.
Yeah. All right. So that one sounds safe. Nice. The next person said, or I guess they proposed a question. What's one small adult cheat code you wish you learned earlier? And another person responded and said, paralysis by analysis is worse than failure. Inaction kills more dreams than failure ever will.
That's so safe. It's not even I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, it's a
right.
fact. But you know what? I think a lot of it is confidence that's built over time, right? So
Yeah,
when
true.
you lack confidence, you tend to be very apprehensive. And
Mm,
on the flip side, I guess also if you don't know, you might go forward when you know too much. Sometimes it's a problem as well, right? Because
yes.
you could then be kind of stuck worrying
Yeah.
too much or overthinking.
Overthinking.
But it's a very profound point that person
Yeah,
made for sure.
definitely. This definitely sounds safe. And it's interesting you said that because I just had Eden Marley, Rohan's daughter,
Yeah,
on the podcast, and we were just talking about her grandfather and just how he was just so wise, for his age. And she said something similar, like sometimes it's too much, like to know so much and to have so much knowledge, you can become overwhelmed. And I think the same
right.
goes for business. If you're so well versed in one area of business, you can feel like, am I making the right decision? Because I could do it this way or that way or this way or that way. And then, like this person said, you get paralysis by analysis. Then some people just don't end up doing anything because they don't
Yep.
think they can do it like to perfection,
Correct. And I mean,
Yeah.
very relatable, very
Yeah.
relatable. And I find that what I meant by as you gain more experience, you realize that. and you say, well, you know what?
Yeah,
The way that we're going to find out is by pressing on, and that's
by
kind
doing the
of,
work.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
love that. I agree. I
excellent
agree.
point. Yeah.
All right, a couple more. The next person said, spending money on disappointing food is a different type of pain.
It's fair. It's a fair point.
Yeah.
I'm not a picky eater, really, to be honest with you.
Oh no. Okay.
Um, I can't tell you when last I've had a truly disappointing meal. Obviously, some are better than others, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if it does not taste good, I'm not going to eat it.
This sounds safe because me love my belly, so I have to
Yeah,
have good tasting food. I'm not picky, but like you said, it has to taste good and it has to have flavor. And like I traveled a lot as a child, so I'm open to all different kinds of food, right? But it has to taste good. So when you buy food, especially if you're hungry, oh my gosh, if you're hungry
yeah.
and you buy food and it doesn't taste good, that's a wicked act.
I try to keep it safe though. I try to go with what I know. I
There
try to
you
work
go.
with
There
what
you go.
with
Yes,
a
when you're
safe,
hungry,
stay in my safe zone. Yeah,
yes, for sure. It's so funny. I remember my dad used to always tell me when he would go on tour, if it would be in a place where he wasn't really sure of the food, he'd rather just not eat because the
yeah.
worst thing for him would be to eat something, get like a upset stomach, and then have to play or, something like that. But I'm like, I don't know, I don't know if I could go without eating, but
Well, you forget when Usain Bolt was going to run Olympics and world champs in the Far East, in Beijing and those places. He was eating chicken McNuggets and those things. He just stuck
yes,
with what
yes,
was
that's so
safe.
true. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
man.
Yes, that's
But
so
and I know
true.
a lot of people in the industry that are on tour and all of that. I mean,
Hmm.
I've been around some folks that they will not touch it unless it is rice and peas and chicken and what they
Yes,
know,
yes.
like
What you
they
know, yeah, because you don't want to take that risk and you just don't know. Sometimes your body just might not agree with certain foods,
yeah,
So
for
yeah,
sure.
when you are hungry, choose something safe. That's the moral of the story. Okay, one more. This person said, why does everyone force introverts to leave their comfort zone, but no one forces extroverts to be quiet for a while?
That is hysterical. Yeah, I mean, it's a fair question, huh?
Yeah, it is. It
It's a
is. I
fair
mean,
question.
I don't know because I feel like I think this is hilarious, but I feel like it's also not allowing that person to be themselves. Because if they're extroverted,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
just
yeah,
who
for
they are.
sure.
You now have to make a decision if that's someone you want to be around. If you're introverted and may not want to be around someone so talkative, but you can't tell a person if that's who they
No.
are. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
think that
for
one's a
sure.
little
I agree with
tricky.
you. Yeah, I took it as I kind of heard it as the person being like ultra obnoxious,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
which might be an extreme extrovert, and that may not be what the person meant. But yeah, I'm with
Yeah.
you. I'm with
That's
you.
true.
You're right.
Yeah. An
And
extreme
and the
extrovert.
reality is, when somebody is expressive, you get to know who
Mhm.
they are. You kind of figure it out quickly. When somebody's introverted, it's sometimes a little bit like maybe it's
You're
also
not
intimidating
sure.
for other people around. It's really not sure what's going on.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
we're all
Yeah,
different, eh? So
exactly.
yeah.
Okay, so that was fun. See, not as scary as it sounds.
No, that was okay.
Yeah, you can
Got to.
take a sigh of relief now. All right, so now we're going to talk the real thing. So, Gary, in Jamaica, and really I'd say in the Caribbean, the Matalon surname signals entrepreneurship, leadership, legacy, and it's a surname that has existed in rooms where decisions have been shaped and opportunities and even livelihoods. But I think what's really striking is that you inherited that environment, but chosen to intentionally create your own path, right? We have so many persons on here that come from certain families, and it's really expected of them that they would just kind of sit back and relax, right? Like maybe not even explore their dreams because someone could look at them and think, oh, well, you don't have to work hard because you come from this family that has kind of like set a path for you. So I always think it's important to highlight persons like yourself that have chosen your own path. So now, as the deputy CEO of Different Capital, you're helping to reimagine how Caribbean persons, including those in the diaspora, access property ownership and investment, which I think is amazing. You co founded Usain Bolt's Tracks and Records, which everybody knows and loves, myself included. And I really think just within that restaurant, you've created a space where Jamaican culture, food, sports, and music can live together as an experience, which I think is also amazing. And we cannot forget to mention that you do all of this alongside your beautiful wife, who also has incredible business savvy and leadership at Restaurants of Jamaica Limited, which I think is so admirable. And you're a father to a son and two daughters, which is amazing. And I think it's incredible because they get to watch you in real time, right? And learn from you and learn to lead, to build, and really what it means to carry that family name with integrity, right? So I want to go back to the beginning of little Gary and when you first maybe even had the thought of working in business, or was that even a thought for you as a child? Like, what were you like as a child?
Well, yeah, I always find it's funny because I always find these are like the hardest questions. I get interviewed about
Really?
business, and when people ask me
Yeah.
about business, I feel like I can talk forever. And then when they talk about my personal life, I'm like, oh my God. But in truth and in fact, it's I think I had a pretty normal life, right? My
Yeah.
mom and dad were very supportive, and I have one brother, one older brother,
Hmm.
and we played sports and we went to school and we did all of that.
Yeah.
I was also super close to my grandparents, both my grandfather and my grandmother.
Oh,
And
nice.
I think my grandfather is probably, if you had to single out like an influence over me, I mean, I was hitched up underneath my grandfather like 24/7 as much as I
Oh,
could. And he would say things like, you don't need to go to school, just stay with me and I'll teach you everything you need to know. And I was like, yes. And my
yeah.
parents were like, no, you know.
That's every
But
child's dream, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. But back to your point, I think he was a workaholic, and
Mm.
a lot of our time spent together was me getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and going to the office with him and literally staying there for
Oh,
the day. And it was really an amazing experience. I didn't understand or appreciate maybe the gravity of what I was witnessing or what I was a part of at that time, but I imagine it would have had a pretty significant influence over me. Our family, so my grandfather, when he and his 11 siblings came to Jamaica, right? They came very, very poor and were living in Raytown at the time. And
okay.
then when World War II happened, a few of the brothers, there were seven brothers, and a few of
Hmm.
them went off and fought in different armies. And one went to the British Royal Navy, one went to Canadian Air Force, another one went somewhere.
Mm. Yeah.
And that's where they became engineers and, understood business a lot better. And
Yeah.
when
Wow.
they kind of got back together in Jamaica, that was kind of the birth of the Matalon family business, which
Okay.
eventually grew to prominence. And I think at one point we were 25, 26 different companies strong in the ICD group.
It's
And
amazing.
yeah, it was quite something. But of course, I don't know if you know, but like, and interestingly, I did this in university. I took a course named Family Business Management, which was kind of
Oh,
cool because I was in a family business, right?
exactly.
And
That's
I'll never
perfect.
forget, I'll never forget the professor giving us a statistic that I've just
Yeah.
never forgotten. And he said
Yeah.
something like north of 85% of all family businesses die by the third generation. And
Oh.
when he started to dig into that, it really made a
Mhm.
lot of sense because, you have the first generation that's kind of the entrepreneur that gets going,
Mm.
and that's usually whether it's a husband and a wife or, a couple of brothers and sisters, and they start a business, and
Mhm.
then, they each have two and three kids themselves. So by the time the second generation comes in, they help to grow the business, and they
Right.
all have two and three kids each themselves. And then now that third generation comes into something substantial, something already established,
Yeah.
likely not having to go through the pressure and the struggles that the two previous generations would have experienced. And it's also a lot more mouths to feed now, right? So the
Exactly.
business
Yeah.
now becomes under strain. I don't believe in there being family business and other business. I think it's either a business or it's not a business. Because if you're running it as a family business and somebody's going there because they're your brother or your sister or your cousin, and they may not necessarily be the best person for the job, you're really doing yourself a disservice, right? Because business is competitive. I mean, the other people out there are not in it to try and make you successful. They're in it to try and make themselves successful, right?
Yep.
So when your competitors have the best people in the best positions and you are trying to do what you're doing because you're maintaining some family structure, you know, I mean, there are pros and cons, right? You're supposed to be able to trust your blood more. But you know what? Nowadays, you got to have your systems and controls. You have to manage your business the way you need to manage it, and you need to do your thing. So anyway, I say all of that to say that my family business, although the first generation built it, that first generation was bigger than most people's second generation, right? So by the time the second generation came around,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
it was enormous. So my family business that was, you know, the ICD group with, I mean, still around, still very successful, but much different than it was when I first
Got you. Okay.
came into the mix, right? So
Yeah.
I always say it didn't even really reach to the third generation. Everybody had kind of started to splinter off and do their own thing.
Own thing. Yeah.
And although, having said all of that, I did join the family business straight out of school and was working in construction and was very grateful to have that opportunity because I learned a whole lot, right? I had
I'm sure.
I
Yeah.
had the benefit of working with some of my grandfather's generation. My grandfather passed, but he had some of his brothers that were still involved.
Okay.
And I was able to work with them. And then, you know, I had cousins and my dad and other people that were still involved. And, you know, through them, I was able to pick up a lot. You know, although even though I was a family member, they literally started me in the dirt, right? My first job was like there was nothing elegant or glorious about it at all.
But you know what? I think that's important for you to say because I think there's a lot of persons that could be under the assumption that you started in the big office because it's your family.
No, absolutely
know?
not. Quite the opposite. Yeah, quite the opposite. Quite
That's
the
so
opposite.
funny. That's so funny. But I think it's good to explain things like that because, like I said, when you come from a family like that, persons just have a misconception that things are handed to you. I just think in general, right? So the fact that not only did you start from where you started from, but you kind of worked your way up. And then when you did get to those places, you were able to learn from the persons around you. And I'm sure what you were able to learn from them was invaluable, like compared to school. Because I always think there's a little bit of a disconnect sometimes. Like you can be really good in school, like really good at business, but then you go out in the real world and maybe you're not personable. Because I think that has a lot to do with how successful you are in business, right? Or
Sure.
you just don't know how to speak to people. So I think that's good that you explain that because especially in this generation now where everything is so instant, I think persons would have that assumption. You can't possibly know hard work because you've had everything handed to you, you know?
Right.
So yeah, that's definitely important. And then one of the things that I talked about is you co-founding Tracks and Records. Can you tell us a little bit about that and basically what creating that with Usain like taught you about exporting Jamaican identity through business?
It's interesting because it was a couple of my friends. I've always been in the construction and real estate development and that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And I was working on a project in St. Mary, in St. Anne actually. And I had a friend that was working with Chris Blackwell at the time. And he was in the country. They were launching, what was the name of his rum again? Blackwell Rum. I don't know
Okay,
if you
yeah.
know. Yeah, Chris had
Yeah.
launched a rum, and a good friend of mine was working with him at the time. So he was over that side, and because I had to spend a lot of time over there, we would
Yeah.
get together and have dinner, and we'd have drinks, and we'd chat. And it was
Yeah.
actually him that said to me, you know, we're thinking about opening a nightclub. And at that time, I don't know if you know Ribby and Gypsy, the guys who have kind of the nightclub kings in
They
Jamaica
own
for
Ribbies?
Yeah, well, Ribby, correct. So
Okay.
Ribby and a partner started out, I want to say like 30 years ago, if not more.
Oh,
I mean, they
okay.
literally have been in nightclubs in Jamaica and, from Asylum to Cactus to, I mean, all like the really
Yeah.
right, proper nightclubs. And
Mm-hmm.
these guys wanted to do something, but a little bit different. They wanted to go a little more higher end, try to make it a little bit more North American, right? So we wanted
Yeah.
to do like, VIP things and bottle service, and that really wasn't happening much in Jamaica at the time.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
actually went to him and talked to him about it, and he's like, "Well, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if we're ready for that." And we felt, you know what, we're ready. We're gonna give it a shot, and he was so very supportive and helped
Yeah.
us out. But yeah, anyway, the six of us built this nightclub called Fiction, right? And Fiction
Yeah. I
was
remember that.
an insane success. Like Fiction was, I can't even, I mean, it was way beyond anything we ever thought it would be. But I really
Yeah.
jumped in there as a financial investor. I really had no intention of spending any time on it more than so,
Got you.
right? And
Okay.
but we opened the doors, and it
Mm-hmm.
was like, I mean, chaos, right? So I didn't have a choice. I had to
Right.
jump in and try to kind of get it,
Yeah.
get things working, because none of us were really in that business before, right? So even just
So it was
proper,
new.
it was all new. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's a dynamic business because you have the front of house side where you're dealing with customers and service and that sort of thing. You have the back of house side where you have a lot of expensive inventory that needs to be managed,
Yeah.
the accounting of all of that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we thought, it was like a little fun thing, but that turned into something a whole lot more substantial.
Serious.
And
Yeah.
then about a year into it, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we had made back our initial investment. We were in the newspaper every week. I mean, it was like literally turning back a couple of hundred people a night because they just couldn't fit, right? We were at
That's
capacity.
amazing.
And
Yeah.
nightclub business, generally nightclubs, popular nightclubs have one or two good nights a week. We had four good nights a week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday were
What?
packed. So
Wow.
yeah, it was an insane success. I mean, it was like
Yeah.
by accident. I mean, I guess if I showed you the business plan for that business before
Yeah.
we opened the doors, you would say, but this can't be the same business. Like it doesn't even resemble what we had thought we
Wow.
were gonna do, right?
Oh my
So it's a
gosh,
good
that's
miss, right?
amazing. Yeah.
But
That's a good accident.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So anyway, at the end of about year one, we decided we were going to go and try and get better at it, and we went to Las Vegas for a trade show. They have a big nightclub and bar trade show in Las Vegas, and I'll never
Okay.
forget. We were sitting at breakfast like the second morning we were there, and I said to the team, I'm like, guys, we're either gonna ride this out. I mean, nightclubs don't have a long shelf life, right? We
That's
probably
true.
have another
Yeah.
couple of years of this. Do we
That's
just
true.
ride it out and then move on and go on our merry way and say it was a lot of fun and we made some money,
Yeah.
or do we try leverage this success
Into something.
onto something else? And that's kind of how Traction Records was born. So. So yeah, so we and again, so now the Tracks and Records concept, we're all, we've all been pretty well traveled, but we're all very kind of Jamaican to the core. Like we bleed Jamaica, right? So we love our country, and we
Yeah.
figured if we could package what we felt were the best elements of brand Jamaica into four walls and standardize it and use some of the operational expertise that we've gained up to this point and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
really deliver an amazing
I love that.
product,
Yeah.
then we could get it ready for export, right? So that was the birth of Traction Records. And if you know Traction Records, a marketplace in Kingston,
Yeah.
that location was built 15 years ago
That is
in
crazy. I
April.
read that
Okay?
before before doing this interview, and I was like, no, that can't be right.
April this year was
That is
our
crazy.
15th year anniversary. We built
That's
it in 2011. We opened
I
the doors in
remember when it
2011.
first opened. I remember that.
So Winford from On Stage just interviewed me a couple of days ago in there, and he was saying to me, he's like, if this venue was built today, it would be
Yeah.
impressive. And to
Yeah.
think it was built 15
15
years
years
prior.
ago.
Yeah.
That's
So So it
Time
was, yeah.
flies. Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. So let me
I
ask you a
think
question. When you and your partners came up with the idea, did you like run the full idea by you saying first, or was it kind of like you're thinking of something and then he kind of put his input and then you guys came up with a concept? Like, how did that work?
so. It was interesting because we went.
Okay.
So Usain was very. We had a great relationship with Usain, and he used to
Yeah.
love to come to the nightclub when he wasn't training and stuff like that. So we knew him very well
Yeah.
through that. And the initial concept
Hmm.
was slightly different. So we were actually going to Shaggy and Sean and Usain and Chris
Hmm.
Gale and really trying to take some of Jamaica's biggest brands, right?
Hmm.
On a global scale. I mean, you think about the superstar power that Jamaica has, right?
Of course. Yeah.
And to kind of almost do what Planet Hollywood had done before, right? Where they brought together all of these
Okay.
stars and stuff like that.
Yeah. Or like hard
And
rock.
correct, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was kind of the initial thinking, and
Mm.
we started to have conversations with people and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
it was in the conversations with you saying that he said, "Look, I would love to do it, but I want to do it with my as why don't you do Usain
With
Bolt
his
tracks and
name.
records?" Yeah.
Okay.
So
Nice.
we still had open to doing a Shaggy's tracks and records or a Chris Gale's tracks and records or you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
so that was kind of how the concept evolved. And
Got
what
you.
Usain was
Okay.
like, loved it, and he wanted it to be, he wanted a Usain Bolt traction record. Keeping in mind, too, though,
Yeah.
that as great as he was then, because he had broken the world record and he had won the 100 meter, 200 meter, and 4 by 100,
Yeah. Because
but he had only done it
2011
once. In other words, he did it at one
it was
Olympics and
early.
one World Championships at
Yeah.
that stage of the game. He hadn't done it twice, much less three times.
Mm,
So that
yeah. Oh my
although he
gosh.
was big, he wasn't nearly as big.
It
So we
wasn't.
took he took a gamble
Yeah.
with us, and we took a gamble with him,
Definitely.
and
Yeah.
I think the best thing out of the whole experience is that we've kind of become family. You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's
I
not even
love
about the
that.
business. It's not even about the
Yeah. That's
business. I mean,
beautiful.
You're saying close inner circle
Yeah.
from his management team to his good friends and all my good friends, and we're
Yeah.
literally, yeah, man, very, very close.
Oh, I
And it's a
love
long
that.
time, eh? I mean, we're talking about north of 15 years of
That is a lot,
just,
almost two
yeah,
decades. That's crazy.
exactly,
Wow.
exactly.
Oh
Got
my
to know his
gosh. And I
parents
love,
very well.
yeah, and I love the fact that, as I mentioned to you offline, I love music because I grew up around it my whole life. So I love the fact that you infuse that, and it doesn't shock me because I know you are a really big music lover, especially dancehall and reggae. And I know that Usain too loves dancehall and reggae. So how were you guys able to, or maybe not even how were you able to, but was that a goal of yours to infuse dancehall and reggae? Like, just because if people come there, for example, visiting Jamaica and they want somewhere where they can get like authentic food and just the vibes, was that part of your business plan?
Massive. Yeah, man.
Okay.
Majorly because,
Yeah.
of course, again, going back to the best elements of Brand Jamaica, we felt our
Yeah.
athletes, right? We felt our music.
Our
You
music.
can't think Jamaica without thinking our music,
Of
right?
course.
And our food, jerk, and
Mhm.
just the whole kind of culture and all of that. So it was absolutely a major part of it. And I
Yeah.
kind of had this thinking, right? So I don't know if you've ever
Mhm.
been to House of Blues in New Orleans or in LA,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
We
House
used
of
to play
Blues
there all the
is
time.
not a massive venue. I mean, it's a big venue, but
It's
right
intimate.
for correct. And then but you got
Yeah.
some of the biggest stars in the world performing there, right? I've seen people
Yep.
perform in House of Blues, and I thought to myself, in Jamaica, we really don't have a venue like that, right? So
No.
we wanted somewhere where artists could come.
Mhm.
If it's new artists, showcase themselves and their music. But
Yeah.
if it's well established artists, they
Yeah.
could come there, try out new material, have a more intimate show with their audience. So I
Yeah.
mean, we've had when I tell you everybody in there from I mean, Tanya Stevens, Bounty Beanie, Shaggy, Berries, Marcia, Yellowman. I mean, literally, I can't. There's few Chronics. I remember Chronics going in there when people were like, "Who's Chronics? Chronics who?" It was just a
Wow.
young artist that
Oh
time.
my goodness.
A lot more protege would have filled in there. People didn't really
Yeah.
know who Chronix was. I mean, when he became established, he came out there and performed again, and we couldn't hold
Wow,
people
that's
in there.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, so has been an amazing part of the whole experience, to
I
have a
love
venue
that.
like that.
Yeah, yeah, I love that so much. And so, like I said, I know music is a big part of your life. So, is that something that's always been a big part of your life, like since childhood? Or is that something that as you got older, you got more into like dancehall and reggae and things like that?
No, I mean, I think it's always been a part to an extent.
Yeah.
So my dad loves music, and
Oh, okay.
he actually is very talented. Although he's never taken a music lesson in his life, so he can play a
Really?
keyboard and the guitar, but just strictly
What?
by ear. So if you play a song for him, he can play it back for you, and
Oh
he's
my
never had a
gosh.
music lesson. I know my
That's
nephew has taken it up
amazing.
and is teaching himself on YouTube. If you hear some of the stuff the guy is playing, I'm just like, you gotta be
Yeah.
kidding me! In like a couple of
What?
months.
Oh
But
my
so my dad has that. I don't have it at all. I can't sing, dance, play any instrument. No.
It skipped you,
But
eh?
yeah, it skipped me for sure. But I think always hearing music in the house and just being around
Yeah.
music, I grew to love music. And yeah, I mean, in my younger years, I was very reggae. So I mean, even stuff like that may not have been as big in Jamaica, but I was like hooked on Ziggy Marley and just kind of random reggae stuff that was out.
Yeah.
Um, and then I really started to kind of get into dancehall when it was like in the is with like Josie Wales and Admiral Bailey, and those guys started to really kind of do their thing. And
Okay.
then of course when we in the 90s and you started getting into Bojo Beanie, Bounty, and those guys started taking over Sprague Benz and Terra
What?
Fabulous, and yeah, it was
Yeah.
just like, I mean, my head gone at that point. And then, and then of course, growing up on construction sites, right? I'm
Yeah.
around a lot of people. See a guy, shoveling concrete and like
Yeah.
DJing a tune, and I'm like, why are you not on a massive stage? The guy with just raw talent.
I can
Raw
imagine. I
talent.
can imagine. Yeah, we
So,
definitely have a
yes.
lot of talent in
Yeah,
various
man, it's bizarre.
entertainment spaces for sure.
It's bizarre.
Love that. I just had to ask because I think that, it's I think it's interesting when you can fuse something that you love, like music, that maybe you're not musically inclined, but you love music and you're able to infuse that in something you also love, which is business. So I think that's
Right.
great when you do that because you can kind of feel like your passion for both. So you are now the deputy CEO of Different Capital, a company that is innovating how real estate and investment properties are democratized in the Caribbean. Why do you feel like it's important now, especially in this generation of Caribbean persons and the diaspora, to establish a company like this?
Yeah, so it's a great question. I'm so glad you asked me, right? So, of course, because this is the world I'm living in right now.
Yeah, of course.
I have from 2004, I founded a project management company with a partner,
Hmm.
and that grew into a second company, which is a general contracting company that actually does construction of large hotels and stuff in Jamaica. And
Oh,
then
okay.
more recently, we founded a company that does supply chain for construction related materials for a lot of companies in Jamaica and for our own companies as well, right? So we kind of
Hmm.
took the supply chain out of being internal process and made it into a profit center. So that's what I was doing. But I had this like burning desire to get into more the development side, right? And be more on
Got
the,
you.
the developer side as opposed to contracting and project management and even the
Yeah.
supply chain, even though those are great businesses.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
around that time, Chris Williams, who is somebody I've done business with over the years
Hmm.
and become friends with, we play football together and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And I always kind of leaned on him for business advice. So you can, you can say he's kind of served that mentorship role as well over the
Aw,
years. He was in the process of exiting Proven, which is a large private equity investment bank that he had founded with some partners,
mhm.
blew it up into one of the leaders in the financial sector in Jamaica.
Yeah.
He was exiting that business. He had done his time there. He founded it. He was there for years and
Mhm.
he was stepping out. So he was talking about retirement, of course, which he more than earned it, but there's just no way. He's too young and he's still full of energy. So he and I got to talking and kind of the visions aligned on a lot of things. But his background is investment banking. My background was construction and development. So when we really started to spend a lot of time together,
Yeah.
we said we could do something, but let's do something different, right? So hence the
Yeah.
name. We wanted to be
I
very
love
different.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
And I
were
love
not
that you spell
interested
it with
in
a lowercase d.
correct. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we're being different. So
Yeah, I like
we
that.
formed different, and
Mhm.
the idea was to bring real estate to the markets
Mhm.
in a way that the markets currently don't get to experience. And when I say the markets, I'm talking primarily Jamaica and the Caribbean,
Mhm.
because Caribbean is our focus. We're really not looking at, going outside. The Caribbean region is big enough, right? And
Yeah.
there
Yeah,
are
for
plenty of
sure.
opportunities here. But traditionally, what has happened is that a lot of people, even myself growing up,
Mhm.
even though I worked in real estate and I was a young business person, trying to build myself out, and as you start to do well and you have to make investments, your investment decisions are based on what options are available in the market, right? And
Mm.
everybody knows about stocks and bonds and mutual
Yeah.
funds, and everybody knows about real estate, and I think everybody loves real estate, but not everybody feels like they can access real estate, right?
That's so
Because
true.
if you want really good high value real estate, you have to have a lot of money, right?
Yep.
Or be able to access big mortgages, and some people don't want to take on all this lending. And
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
we
They think
said,
it's
well,
out of
how
reach,
how
basically.
can we fix this, right?
Mhm.
And his background was ideal because he just looked at it as a way to structure it into a financial investment that people could
Mhm.
access.
Mhm.
But unlike a lot of the financial investment structures that exist out there that rely on, a company's performance or something, real
Yeah.
estate tends to be a lot more stable, right? So
Mhm.
we looked at it and we said, you know what? If somebody's selling a plaza for 10 million US,
Mhm.
nobody in my phone book, well, few people are going to be able to say, oh, let's go buy that. You know what I mean? But a lot of people just say, oh, wow, great. You know what I mean? Like it's not something you feel like you can access. But
Right,
we
right.
were able to structure it
Mhm.
where we can offer it to everybody, and
Mm.
anybody can go in there and access it at the level that they feel comfortable. So even if you
Okay.
may have 10 million US to buy that plaza, but don't want to put all those eggs in that
Into
basket,
one.
maybe you say, all right,
Yeah.
I'll put 2 million in. But then you have other people that would never even be able to look at a property like that can put 10,000
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
participate in it, right? So
Right.
so a property like that kicks off cash flow on a regular basis, and then whenever we exit it, there's usually capital appreciation that will have accumulated over time. So it becomes a really nice investment option for
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
But Different also does regular traditional property sales as well.
Okay.
So we have a large database of people, and now we're about to launch our first set of title loans. So people that need short-term
Oh.
financing for whether cash flow for their business or
Yeah,
for whatever
yeah.
reason, they can,
Yeah.
and they have a property title, they can access short-term financing.
Available to anybody in the Caribbean or just Jamaica?
It's available to anybody. In fact, we have Diaspora in the US
Oh,
that has
wow.
participated in our first REIT. We packaged the first opportunity as a real estate investment trust.
Mm-hmm.
There were 11 townhouse units that we purchased in Grand Cayman fully tenanted, so the income is already there. The expenses are minimal. It's a townhouse development, right? So there's a
Right, right.
landscaper and there's insurance and a few other things. So we kind of know what the cash yield is already, and people love it. And we're going to hold it for 5 years, and then we're going to sell it. And then, of course, in Cayman is such a stable economy. No, it's a tax-free jurisdiction, so you have capital appreciation and property values in that market have been amazing over the last 15, 20 years. So we
Yeah, for
are looking
sure.
forward to, within a 5 year period, being able to sell those units for a significant uplift to go all back to the investors that participated in it.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow, that's amazing. And it's
So
it's really so different from like the early part of your career. So that's why I wanted to start from there, because you see how like kind of what you alluded to, just having that baseline learning from your grandfather and your uncles, granduncles, whoever in your family, you've been able to kind of use your business acumen in very different, no pun intended, places.
it happens all the time.
Right? So, and that's just such a creative name. And then even your partner just having a totally different outlook. I think that's important to mention too, because I think in business sometimes or partnerships, people think that they want to be with or partner with somebody that's exactly like them or has the exact background. And I would beg to differ. I think it's great when you partner with someone that maybe has your same drive, because that's important, and ambition, but they're going to look at it from like a different lens, you know?
100%. Bring skill
Yeah.
sets that, because I know I'm not good at everything. In fact, I know I have massive weaknesses, and I know
Yeah.
that in this instance we really
Mhm.
complement each other really well in that regard, and I think that is a major strength of
Yeah,
the
I'm
business,
sure.
and how we've been able to accomplish as much as we have in a very short space of time, because we've only been around just over a year. And
Yeah,
it's, I mean, when I tell you, it's pretty amazing what we built in a
that's
very short space of
amazing.
time.
That's
Yeah,
amazing. So,
very, very
for
proud of this.
anyone listening, right? That's like hearing your story and maybe they're younger and they're leaving business school or something like that. What are maybe some like challenges that they should prepare for? I guess you can't really prepare for every challenge, but that they should be aware of that they may have to navigate through just as a person conducting business in general. I wouldn't even say just in the Caribbean, but in general.
I think probably first and foremost, what you need to accept and
Hmm.
prepare for, although it's not possible to prepare for it, but just know that
Right. That's what I would
things
say.
are gonna go way way
Yeah.
different
It's
than you had
inevitable.
anticipated. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So you just need to understand that it's going to be the challenge. Nobody, I don't think anybody on planet Earth could ever say, "Oh, they just did this thing and it was smooth sailing and they planned it out great and everything just rolled."
No.
It just doesn't work like that, right?
They could say it, but they'd be lying.
Yeah,
So no.
yeah, 100%. So, but no, I mean, look here, everybody had to have a first time, right?
Of
So
course.
I
Of
think
course.
that it's really important to going back to the earlier part of our conversation where
Hmm.
somebody mentioned analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
You need to be cautious and you need to be prepared and you need to educate yourself as much as possible. And right now, there is no excuse for you not doing that because the information is
Is
everywhere,
there.
right?
Yes.
It's dropping out of the
Yes.
sky. You
So
can
true.
access it. I mean, when I was starting out in my first business, I didn't have that. I mean, obviously we had the internet and stuff like that, but it was not
Yeah.
a situation like now where information is
Hmm.
just out there. So you have to educate yourself. You have to become an expert in what you're doing,
Mm.
and then you have to. I don't care what the industry is. I don't
Hmm.
care, how you're starting out, whether you have the funding in place, whether you don't have the funding in place, whether you have a partner, whether you're on your own. Whichever way you
Yeah.
slice it, it's going to be extremely difficult, and you have to
Hmm.
be ready for that. And I don't know if you can ever truly be ready for it, but you have to be ready for
Yeah.
it in the sense that
Yeah.
no matter what happens, you're not going to stop, right? And you keep
Yeah.
going.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, I think that is probably one of the big differences between people that actually keep going and doing really well and people
Hmm.
that just don't, just feel like they just can't, I failed or whatever. The failures are given, right? And they're
Yeah.
actually, I embrace them because I've had
They
major
teach you.
ones along the way. They teach you.
Yeah.
I could
Yeah,
never be
absolutely.
doing what I'm doing right now without the things that I've been through in business.
Yeah, I
Zero.
can imagine. I
No
can
way.
imagine. Yeah,
And I mean, some of
that's
them I
so
wouldn't wish
true.
them on my worst enemy, right? You feel like the world is coming to an end and it's just the worst feeling ever. Like the worst
Can
feeling ever.
imagine. Yeah.
But you kind of almost have to go through that. You're not going to get that level of growth with just being comfortable. It's just not going to happen. I
Yeah,
don't
because
think
I
so.
feel like, yeah, I feel like that's where you learn when things go wrong or
Absolutely.
unexpected, you know? And one of the things my brother always says to me is don't go with how you feel. Try your best to stick with the plan because your feelings are going to change, right? And that's in regard to anything. Like, I really don't like working out, but as I told you, I love food. So I have to stick with the plan because otherwise I'll probably be very unhealthy, you know? But even in business, like you said, you can't really prepare for how things might go because it's just so up and down in the business world, period. But I think if you just have the mindset that, okay, you know what, whatever happens, I'm going to keep going. Even the good things, right? Because what you also don't want is everything's going well and you get so used to everything going well and used to having that happy emotion that when things probably not even go badly, but just not as well, then you feel like I'm a failure. My gosh, when someone else is like, "What are you talking about? Like, you still made $10 million, you know?"
Yeah.
So I think what you said is so important. Like, you really just have to stick to the plan,
Sure.
essentially.
And I love your analogy about the gym because the truth is, if you went to
Yeah.
the gym every day and just took it easy and never bothered to bust a sweat, and every time you feel like you're tired, you go sit down and relax, you're not going to
Yeah.
get great results, right? You have to feel a little
No,
uncomfortable. You have to
you
go
have
until you're
to.
like, that's why the trainer's like, one more, come on,
You're
keep
right.
going. He's getting you to that next level. And I think
Yeah.
that that's what, you know, is really kind of a, I don't know whether you can teach it, but I like to say it because I hope
Mhm.
that it reaches somebody and helps them to kind of
Absolutely.
feel like they can keep going even when they're like, God, does this make any
They
sense?
want to
Okay.
give up. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, keep going doesn't necessarily mean you have to be flogging a dead horse, right? Because you
Hmm.
have
Hmm.
certain things where you say, all right, I have to pivot. This didn't work out the way I
Knowing when to
anticipated,
pivot.
and
There you go. Yes.
and you change your gear. But keep going means you keep going, one way or the other. You keep going.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't let it kill you.
Yeah, for
So
sure, for
yeah,
sure. It's called going through it for a reason. You can't stop in
absolutely
the madness. You have to go through
correct.
it. So we've talked about tracks and records, different capital, and as I mentioned early on, your family, right? So with all of that at the center of your world, like how do you balance your ambition? Because clearly you have a lot of it with, your strategy and just being there for your like how do you balance everything? I think that's a question that a lot of persons ask women, but I rarely see them ask men that question.
It's a great question. I'm very fortunate, right, in that my
Yeah.
wife is just like a superstar, right? She
Yeah.
works harder than anybody else I've ever met, and she
I can
she
imagine.
runs a massive operation,
Yeah.
and a couple of things, right? So the fact that you have a dual household income very helps a lot. You're able to put
Yeah.
certain things in
Yeah.
place to be able to to help. The other thing is that so we have three kids, as you mentioned earlier, but I
Hmm.
don't know if you know this. One is 21, one is 19, and one is 9.
Wait. Sorry.
Yeah.
21? What are you even saying right now?
Yep. Yep.
What is
Yep.
happening?
I took
My
him to
gosh,
Tracker
that feels
Records
very
earlier for
old.
the Liverpool Manchester United match because the actual English Premier League trophy is in Jamaica for the first time ever. And
Yeah.
it was down at Tracks and Records. I took him down there, and some of the servers and stuff who've been with me for 15 years were like, "That cannot be your son." Like, I literally got that exact
Jacob is
response.
19?
He's taller than me,
No, that can't be
big.
right.
If you ever see
That
him, he's
can't be
going to
right.
university. He just got accepted to Babson in
Oh my
Boston,
God, congratulations to
which is an
him. That's
entrepreneurial
amazing.
school, as you might know. Yeah, man.
Yes. I'm still lost at 21
Yeah,
and
man.
19. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
man. Haley, who's here in Jamaica with us in school, I
Yeah.
mean, the two big ones are away at university now.
Yeah.
But really and truly, it's like she has four parents, right? Because she's
Yeah.
on the phone with the bigger sister and the
Yep.
bigger brother.
I know what that's like. I'm the wash belly.
We're all so close, and we really just make it
Oh,
happen. And we spend a lot of time
yeah.
together, even though we are very busy. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm very fortunate that in the businesses that I am involved in, I can kind of control to an extent when I need to be present physically, when I can
Okay.
just get stuff done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just this week gone, Tina was traveling for work, and I
Hmm.
stayed home and worked for the entire day to be here for Haley, dropping her to
Really?
school and picking
Yeah.
her up and stuff.
Okay.
And
So you guys
I got
balance your
so much
schedules.
work done that day. I almost kind of said to myself, maybe I need to spend a couple of days a week working from home, because I literally
Yeah.
was
See?
very, very productive that day. So yeah, we juggle,
Oh,
and then of course we try to go away as
love
a
that.
family, once a year or so
Take trips and stuff.
to do trips and stuff like that. Yeah, we
I
that's
cannot believe that. Wow.
yeah, man.
I mean, it's so funny because when like my older, I don't know, aunts, uncles, cousins would react like that in my head, I'd be like, okay, I'm supposed to age. Like, what's the problem? But now that I'm older, I'm just thinking like, what? Like,
Yeah,
they
man.
were just little. Like, when did that happen? Oh
Yeah,
my
man.
gosh, that's crazy. Speaking of Jacob, he's obviously watching you closely, especially the school that he's going to. What do you hope that he's absorbed from you without you ever having to say it? Because I always say on here, I've learned the most from my parents by how they've carried themselves and how they treat people, things like that, more than like what they actually told me to do. So, what do you hope that he's learned from you?
Well, you know what? I would say more than hope. I am actually most proud, right? And I
Yeah.
don't know if I should take all the credit for it, but
Okay.
what I'm gonna say to you is that Jacob has demonstrated
Hmm.
certain things that
Hmm.
more than anything else in the world make me so proud of him. Like when COVID hit, right?
Yeah.
He had guys, because he Jacob plays football or soccer for
Right.
the
Yep.
American listeners.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And he's always been on different teams, and typically in Jamaica,
Yeah.
a lot of your
Yeah.
teammates are coming from different areas and different walks of life, right? So
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean, I've had to drop home some of his friends, and my car can't even go to where they live, so I can't even really know if they get in okay. And it's like after
Yeah.
training, so it's dark. And I mean, I
Yeah.
want to make
And
sure they
you're
reach home
concerned.
safe. You know what I mean? I'm like, no,
Yeah.
uncle, I'm good. I'm good. Don't worry yourself. Go on. And
Yeah.
I'm not leaving you down there by yourself.
Exactly, because you can't see. Yeah.
Correct, but anyway, so the
Wow.
point is that he has a lot of friends from different socioeconomic backgrounds, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And like when COVID hit, this man went around, just not like unprompted by anybody, just
Yeah.
decided to like collect every old cell phone and iPad and everything he could get from anybody who he thought may have one, and
Yeah.
literally get them to people who were having to attend class like on their mom's cell phone and stuff like that. And that was,
That's
remember,
amazing.
COVID is 6 years ago, right? So he was much
Yeah.
younger at that time. And
Yeah.
ever since then, it has been like that consistently. I mean, when he was turning 16, we
Hmm.
said, your 16th birthday is a big deal. What do you want for your birthday? Well, trying to get him
Yeah.
something special for his 16th birthday.
Yeah.
He said
Yeah.
he don't want anything, he don't want anything. And he kept going on with, he's good, he doesn't need anything. And he said,
Yeah.
Jacob, it's your 16th birthday, your 16-year-old child. He must want something. He said, all
Yeah.
right, Dad. He said, listen, I'll tell you what you do. Whatever you are going to spend on my birthday present, donate
Hmm.
it to the football academy and let them use it to sponsor some of the children. I'm like,
My
you can't be serious.
gosh.
Like, I'm like, I
Wow.
love that, and I absolutely
Yeah.
will do that.
So
I said, why don't
beautiful.
you call coach and do that. He's like, no, you do it,
Yeah.
and tell him don't put it on social media. So
Yeah, he
literally
doesn't want
called.
the,
I
yeah.
got the two people that run the academy on the line and explained to them what Jacob had said to me. One of them was almost in tears. The other one said to me, he's not at all surprised. He said he's coached Jacob for 5 years and he's not at all
And he
surprised.
knows
Like he
him.
was like,
Yeah.
he's like, that kid is different. So anyway, I say all of that to say that, and again, I don't know if he's gotten it from me or if he's just gotten it from being brought up with kind of in that football environment and kind of observing for himself, you know,
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
you know, you kind of look at everybody equally. And I mean, literally has, like myself, very, very close, I mean, inner circle, best friends that you just were completely opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of your environments and stuff like that you were brought up in.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't make a difference. It
Yeah.
doesn't
And I
make
think you answered your own question because I
a
was about to
difference.
say, like you, because you are the same way. So he
So
definitely got some of that from you for sure.
so yeah, that's Jacob for sure. He always
I
looking out
love
for everybody
that.
and stuff like that. But I think all three of the kids too, because even Haley at her young age and definitely
Yeah.
Sydney is all
Yeah.
about trying to take care of the people around them. And Tina is very much like that as well. So they're kind of doomed, right? They get it from every angle. They're getting it from every
No,
angle.
that's amazing because that just means that you're raising children with good character. And I think that's something, especially in my generation, younger generations, that children, young adults just don't have anymore. It's really wonderful to hear that, you know, kids, young adults are doing these kinds of things on their own, not wanting to put it on social media. That really tells that that's who he is. And, you know, some young people now want more followers or whatever. And listen, I'm saying young people, but I'm a young person too, you know. Just not that young. I just want to be clear.
I'm a young person too. I'm kidding.
We're all young people here.
Yeah,
But no, I think that's so amazing. That's why I love having these conversations because I'm sure I don't have to speak to Jacob personally to know. I'm sure he's been judged before, and I'm sure persons have had the thought that he's nowhere near like that. You know what I mean? Just based on his family. So I think it says a lot about how you guys have even parented your children, right? Because like you said, you don't know if he may have gotten some of it from his environment in football and things like that. But if all of your children have a little bit of it, that to me is indicative of that being part of your parenting. So I think that's something to be really proud of.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely happy for that. So much
Yep.
madness going on. It's like
Listen,
just
that's why
please.
I'm like I don't blame that person to be on the verge of tears because it's like you just don't hear things
Yeah.
like that anymore. So yeah, you guys should be very proud. All right, so last question before our rapid fire segment, which is our last segment. What advice
That no sound
would
safe.
you give?
More rapid fire. What kind of rapid fire thing?
What advice would you give young Caribbean entrepreneurs like yourself who want to build brands that carry culture and impact throughout the Caribbean?
I think it's very important that you understand you have to have a unique selling proposition, right? Because so many people come to me. I did a TV show, I don't know if you know this, a few years back. We went to like 8 seasons. Myself and Yannick Page was like an entrepreneurial type thing. It was called The Innovators. It was on primetime television, Jamaica. And it was like almost like a Shark Tank meets. It was kind of like we'd bring in micro businesses in Jamaica and they would come in and they would explain their problems that they were having and stuff like that. And we'd try to create a little kind of business plan for them of sorts. And then they would go off and spend weeks meeting with different mentors and doing different assignments that we gave them. And then they would come back to us like 6 months later and report on their progress and stuff like that. And cameras would follow them around. And it was a cool little show. It lasted 8 seasons. And then she went off, Yannick went away, and it was a lot of time it took. But because of that, I got associated with being an entrepreneur and being a business person. And I have so many people that come up to me for advice. You know, a couple of things, right? The first thing is that, you know, if somebody comes and says they want to start a nail salon and, you know, they have this business idea, it's a nail salon. I'm like, okay, and what do you do there? We do nails. Like, yeah, but how is that any different than any other nail salon? How are you going to be
Right.
successful? Why is
Are you
somebody going
gonna
to
stand
leave the
out?
nail salon they're going to now to come to your nail salon? So think of how you're going to do it different. Are you going to have a bar in the corner? Are you going to have music playing and it's a vibe? People coming to do their
Yeah.
nails and they're having like a prosecco, and you know what I mean? It becomes like a
Yeah.
lounge experience. Try something a little bit different. It cannot be that you're just going to do the same thing that everybody else is doing and you're going to win, unless you
Yeah.
understand
Yeah.
how you're going to win. So I
Good
think that's a
advice.
major,
Yeah.
major miss by a lot of entrepreneurs. Certainly in Jamaica, I've had that experience a lot, where people just need
Okay.
to understand, yeah, how they're going to, how they're going
Make
to,
it their
how they're going
own.
to be, how they're going to be different.
Yeah. There you go. You know what? That is an excellent name because how many times we said different in this episode. Now for your favorite part that you're so nervous about. Rapid fire. It's going to be very fun, I promise, and quick.
Yeah.
What is one word your children would use to describe you?
And this is rapid fire. I'm stuck.
Yes,
Um,
keyword rapid.
Affectionate. Maybe I'm too affectionate.
Okay, okay, that's good. That's always good coming from a dad, a Jamaican dad at that. Because my dad is
Till
the same way and people think it's rare.
smother them with dogs and
Yeah,
kittens till they cuss
yeah.
me, and yeah, I overdo it maybe.
But we appreciate it. We may not seem like it, when we're younger, but we appreciate it.
But them don't have a choice.
Right? Exactly. All right. What is one dance hall song that always lifts your spirits?
Man,
I know it's probably hard to choose one,
that's
but I
impossible.
I know.
Um, God, fighting between Sizzler and Shaggy and
Ooh.
Woodrow. I have so
Ooh.
many.
Okay, I'll let you pick two. I'll let you pick two. I'll be nice.
No,
One better? Okay, I thought I was helping.
all right, it would be different. I'm gonna say something brand spanking new. I don't know if you've heard Robin Thicke
Okay.
and Shaggy. They have a song called "Looking Lovely." It's
No.
wicked.
Oh, I
It's
have to go listen
I
to
listen to
that.
it probably half a dozen times a day. It's wicked, and it's on
Really?
Jamaican
Okay, I
radio
have to
now
look
too. It's
that up.
part of his new album that's coming out on the 15th of May.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Okay, it's
man.
called Looking Lovely.
Looking lovely.
Looking Lovely. Okay,
Listen
I'll
to it a
have to
couple
go look
times.
that one up.
Wicked song. Yeah, it's definitely a vibe builder, booster. It'll make you
Yeah.
happy. It's a happy song. It's a
Okay.
good song.
What is a business book that you return to often or that you would recommend to somebody that's about business or maybe leadership?
Seven Habits of Highly Effective People or something like that.
Yes.
Bought the book for the entire company
Oh,
and
that's
made it
amazing.
mandatory that everybody did it.
Yeah.
Then we got somebody to come in. Somebody
Mhm.
in Jamaica actually trains on it, like it's a system. And if you follow the
That's
seven
amazing.
habits, and everything we did in sevens, right, as a company, because of
Yeah.
the seven habits, and we used it as a structure to even like with regards to a lot of our human resource side of things, our team, the
Hmm.
team
Hmm.
management side. So
Hmm.
definitely that one is Stephen Covey or something like that.
Yeah, that's an excellent book. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
really
cool book
nice.
for business wise.
Yeah.
It's a lot to digest, but if you just take your time and don't look
Hmm.
at it as one massive book, look at it as one, two, three, as like almost seven smaller books, and it'll actually help a lot.
That's a
If
good,
you,
yeah,
yeah,
that's a good tip. I like that.
just read
Okay.
like the first habit and just hold on to that,
Yeah.
and then when you're ready, you go to the second habit, and you
The
see how
second
they all
habit.
kind of work together. It's wicked.
I love that. I love that. Beautiful. Okay. If you could have dinner with a historical figure or a musician, really anybody, who would it be and why would you choose that person? And they could be living or deceased.
God, these are the hardest questions in the world.
This is worse than that no sound safe, eh?
Yo, this is not safe. I was right to worry about this
You
one.
were right.
I would probably have to say Bob Marley, straight up.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
And
if you
why? I
think
mean, I
about,
I would figure why, but
No, I mean, if you think about, I think about everything that Bob did, and when he
Yeah.
did it, I mean, it would just. I've obviously seen every interview that he's ever done. I've heard every song he's ever produced, and
Hmm.
it just blows me away that one person, especially even at the time that he did what he did, is just had
Incredible.
just so profound. Like
Yes.
that
It's
has to be, and
unbelievable.
not because I'm Jamaican and not because I love reggae, but that. I mean, outside of that, I probably don't know enough about anybody else to really have that kind of, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? To be at that level. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people I'd love
Yeah.
to have
Of
been able to
course.
sit
Of
down and
course.
chat with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, to speak to somebody like him, and he was so
Yeah,
young. That's what Eden and I were saying. Like, we can't fathom being that young and having so much knowledge, having gone through so much. Because it seems like he lived this whole life, but when you really look at it, he passed at 36.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know? So yeah, I agree.
But
That
the
would be
gravity of
someone.
his music, I mean, is like if you really, really pay attention to what he's saying and everything
Hmm.
he put out was just mind blowing. Redemption Song,
Mind
man,
blowing.
off the charts.
Yeah,
Like
incredible.
I can't even think of anything else that's in even remotely close.
As God control time, you know. That means how long you want to be giddy did. You can go on the morning, come back young again, and the night and just done again, and then tomorrow morning it get young again every day. You know what I mean? So man have to make up his mind because he can't outlive time.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
It's
Yeah, for sure.
bizarre.
All right, couple more. What is a Jamaican meal that feels like home?
Oxtail, rice and peas.
Everybody says oxtail and rice and peas.
Oxtail, I like curry goat and white rice as well.
Okay. I'm
Um,
glad you're making note of the correct rice that goes with the meat because when Uncle Cat was on here, I asked him and he was like, of course, like he knew the things, but he was even appalled in a joking way that I would even ask.
that's funny.
He was like, "Of course you have to have curry goat with rice with white rice, but you'd be surprised. Some people they like to mix up the rice. I don't feel like you should. I feel like
No.
curry goat, curry chicken has to go with white rice. It's like a
Four
rule."
dishes in my house that are staple are oxtail, curry
Yeah.
goat, ackee and saltfish, and kidney. So that's
Oh my
my
gosh. Well,
things.
if you guys would love to have me over, I would accept ackee and saltfish, oxtail. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
man,
there.
for sure.
Love that. Okay, what is one word that describes your leadership style?
I would say probably motivational. I
Oh,
try to rally the troops.
yeah.
Whether it's sports or it's business, I think people perform way better because
Mm,
mentally your mind is so powerful. And I mean, even me, if
absolutely.
I'm in the wrong frame of mind, I'm not going to get the same result as if I'm revved up and ready to go. So
Yeah,
I take
that's so
that
true.
and try to see how best I can get.
Hmm.
I mean, I want to see people's excitement on their face before they go into battle. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
need to know that they're on their
I
A
love
game
that.
kind of thing. So
Yeah,
I think my
yeah,
leadership style is more about vibes. Definitely not aggressive, authoritarian type approach at all. It's
yeah,
more
yeah.
motivational, I would say. I hope
Yeah, I
other
love
people would
that.
say.
What is one word that you would use to describe how you want to be remembered?
I want people to think I was a great guy and just nice and fun. I mean, really and truly, let me tell you,
Yeah.
I am not overly focused on what other people think, although I would
Hmm.
like to think people think good of me, right?
Yeah, yeah, I understand that.
Because to be quite honest with you, and this is kind of the troubling thing for me, right? So we're all going to pass at some point, right? And when you do pass, it's going to be very
Right.
traumatic for the ones around us that love us and that we spend all the
Mhm.
time with. but they have to get back to what they're doing afterwards as well, right? So at some point, you're going to end up becoming a picture on a wall or on a bookshelf. And then over the years, couple generations pass, you're not on any wall, you're not on any bookshelf, and it's a wrap. You know what I mean? So I know some people are motivated by having something named after them. I don't try and do it for the legacy. I try to do it for the impact that I can make now. I would like to think that I've made a positive impact on somebody's life, you know. So, and I get that feedback now while I'm alive, which is nice.
There you go. That's important, right? Because when you're gone, it's like, unfortunately, some persons don't get to hear how, you know, people felt about them. So that's amazing that you get that now. Get your flowers while you can still smell them. Yes. So this is the part of the show where I do my thank you, and I tell people not bother with the crying because I'm easy to cry. So, you know, we're both going to hold it together. I feel like I learned so much about you, so much more about you today. Listening to you talk about just everything in totality and how you've arrived, or a small portion, because we only have an hour, of how you've arrived to where you are today. It's really clear that your life's work is more than transactions or brands, you know, like you said, having your name on buildings and things like that, right? It's really about spreading awareness of your culture, your family, obviously. And from the business side, you know, bringing your culture to market and into the business world with integrity. It seems like that's something that's really important to you. And I think that's really important in a leader. So I think that's amazing how you are able to go from different businesses and partner with persons with different backgrounds and just kind of show like your business acumen in different ways rather than, you know, just sticking to one business that maybe that's the business you grew up with. So like sticking to construction, right? And just, I don't know, infusing dancehall and reggae. I think that's so cool that you've been able to infuse that within your businesses. And I think that overall, your journey really reminds us that impact isn't just about building companies. Like you said, you want to be remembered for your impacts. And I think your impact, a lot of it is building environments where people feel possibility, right? Like where they can celebrate themselves, their culture, and where the next generation can see legacy as not something that you claim and just kind of sit on, but something that you create. So thank you so much for your contributions to Jamaica, the Caribbean business landscape, for the way that you carry your family's heritage forward, for the way that you've raised your children, because they're going to be the next generation. So the fact that they have really good character, I think that's amazing. And really for showing us how to build, like as a community, how to build with humility, heart, and most importantly, intention. So yeah, thanks for coming to talk things with me.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ash. And
You're
listen,
welcome.
congratulations on everything you have accomplished. I don't even know at this young age, if you've done all of what you've done already, what's left to come, I can't even imagine.
Oh, thank you so
I can't
much.
even
I
imagine. And I'm
appreciate
very
it.
excited. Looking forward to seeing your journey as you continue. But really, really amazing. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course, definitely. It was a pleasure having you. And I look forward to seeing all the things that you build in the future. I mean, wow, you're like a chameleon. You just keep changing. But that's great. That's really inspiring, right? Because I think sometimes persons can think, oh, once you have your family and once you have something that's working, you just stick there. But I think you're such a good example of it's okay to pivot, as you said earlier. I love that.